been to Centerville. Maybe you even live here. You're pretty proud of the old mill where corn was ground for the first time in the valley. And there's the ancient burial ground back of the meeting house with names of people on the weathered stones, names you've read in your history book. Here's the old wharf where China clippers used to lie, and the widow's walk where the bride of Captain Zacharias watched 20 years for a ship whose sails were never seen again. And here's a rifle that was snatched up when news of Lexington came galloping one night. But Centerville is more than yesterday. It's a bustling today, a rich and promising tomorrow. We Centerville folks are proud of our new high school. A ship's chandler whose lines once coiled upon old Ironside's deck now services our diesel yachts. We boast a radio station and a country club, the latest movie and the newest bathing suit. America is made up of Centervilles. Some are hardly known to the people in the next county. Others are big and famous and known to everyone. No matter where they are, they have one thing in common. It's a very important thing, too. They are rich. But the wealth of Centerville is not locked up in vaults of this old bank. Here it is at Doc Tuck's drugstore, and sunning on the beach, and here in class, and here in church, and playing tennis in the park, and crying out, "Alas, poor Yorick." This is our wealth, the fine young men and women who reflect a sound American community, and in whose hands will be the future of us all. There are many things required to make a citizen, and many ways in which a man may be a useful part of his society and also benefit himself. There's one we'd like to bring before you now. We'd like to show you here in Centerville how two young men have served themselves and you with benefit to both. Bill and his pal Carl discovered, although they never found the words to say so, that they feel alike about responsibilities that must be shared by all of us. In doing their serious best to be good citizens and better men, they joined the Centerville unit of the organized Marine Corps Reserve. Tonight at the regular weekly meeting of their battalion, we find Bill and Carl, now in the uniforms of which they are so proud, congregating with other Centerville boys. No man was ever hired to be a Marine, but they are paid, and generously so, for all the time they spend in training. The inspector-instructor starts a beginner's class in communications by explaining the various types of equipment they will use and the purposes for which it is intended. Modern communications, radio, television, radar, require a sound electronics education, and these boys will get it. They will be thoroughly schooled in communications, technical electronics, and such related subjects as infrared and guided missiles. That's the kind of education that is paying off in civilian life, too. Every summer, Marine Reserves go to camp for 15 days active duty. They go from that Centerville by the Great Salt Lake, and from other Centervilles by other lakes. For Centerville is the United States of America. And since the beginning days of our history, succeeding generations of young Americans have pledged with their courage and their know-how the security of our country and its institutions. Many Naval Reserve medical personnel choose to serve with organized Marine Corps Reserve units. Quite often, the young Marine and his family doctor go to summer training camp together. And whether it's a cinder in the eye or a more serious accident, there's a sick bay equipped for any emergency. But right now, it's time to hit the sack. Good night, Bill and Carl. This is Operation Shut-Eye. Let us pause for a moment to contemplate this scene of deep serenity, the soft slumber, the quiet and stillness of summer morn. Much has been said about the bugler. In the Marine Corps, he is called a field music, and other things too at times. And sometimes he needs an assist. The sergeant always obliges, and the day is saved. Or should we say greeted? Anyway, let's go to chow. Marine Corps cooks have a knack for catering to dainty appetites. And if you are afraid there will not be enough for seconds, let's slip out through the galley and see what the quartermaster has up his sleeve. Well, it looks like he can help out with some meat and potatoes. Or, if the cook should need a few cases of eggs or a few cans of something. If they really want to help, Bill and Carl's folks could send them some cookies. Marines eat well for a very good reason. They receive the finest course of physical development and training in the world. How would you like to try this before lunch? Here's one you can practice in your backyard. As soon as the boys are through this little workout, there will be a period of recreation. Sometimes, though, it's hard to tell the difference between training and recreation around here. It's hard to keep Bill out of a baseball game, too. Best first baseman they ever had at Centerville High, lots of folks used to say. You can get recreation, too, from a book. Or a letter to Bob. Or here's a chance to catch up on one of your lessons in that course you're taking, for free, from the Marine Corps Institute. For those who wish refreshment of the spirit, a chapel and chaplains are always nearby. Men of all faiths are encouraged in regular attendance at divine services. Aviation is an important part of the organized Marine Corps Reserve program. At naval air stations throughout the nation, there are organized Marine Corps Reserve aviation units where Marine Reserves fly the newest fighter planes. Along with these fighters, there are radar-equipped ground control intercept squadrons where young men schooled in radar and electronics detect and direct the flights of fighter planes. The days pass. Everyone is hard as nails. Reserve aviation squadrons have been working alongside regulars at air stations on both coasts. Here we see the engineers constructing a bridge. Mechanics have had the opportunity to study types of engines they wouldn't all have access to in civilian life. Men of the amphibian tractor battalions now feel as much at home in salt water as they do on the beach. Drivers of the amphibian trucks, or ducks as they are more popularly known, have tasted salt too. All motor transport personnel have had their full share of instruction in driving, as well as maintenance and repair. Mechanics, drivers, and radio men have learned to function smoothly as a team. Some of the boys from Centerville had never fired a rifle larger than a .22 before. Carl was one of these, but he's taken to the M1 like a duck to water. The range is the heart of the organized reserve training. The newest equipment is here for them to use. This is a 57mm recoilless rifle, especially designed to replace the 37mm anti-tank gun. The Centerville men haven't had to work all of the time. From strategically located observation posts, they have seen demonstrations of all the various phases of modern amphibious warfare. One of these demonstrations concerned infantry in an attack on a fortified position. Another problem featured tanks in support of advancing infantry. An officer in charge explained the action as it occurred. The M40s, self-propelled 155s, gave an exhibition of their ability to get over difficult terrain in a hurry. The field artillerymen put on a show. Of course, there are some things the men from Centerville have been taught that will have to remain secrets of the Corps. It's a good thing for men from different parts of the country to get together like this. They make new friends and see new sights. Now, with their period of summer training finished, it's time for liberty. Hollywood is not far for the men who have been training on the West Coast. Here at the Columbia Broadcasting Studios, a couple of the Camp Pendleton boys meet Penny Singleton. They also meet the other members of Blondie's radio family, Dagwood, Cookie, Alexander, and Mr. Dithers. When you turn a corner in one of the big movie studios, you'll never know quite what to expect. Here is a production company at work. And that looks like Fred McMurray, who has just driven up. And that looks like three men from Centerville watching the show from the sidelines. It always seems, no matter where you find a Marine, that it's never very long until he finds a friend. Lieutenant Miles Gilbert, late of the United States Marine Corps, turns out to be such a friend. The boys have accepted Miss Susie Crandall as a friend, too. Fred McMurray comes over to say hello, but it doesn't look like he'll be able to stay long. Like the lieutenant, Fred has to go back to work. So Susie takes over, and they go in search of another studio corner to turn. And look who they find. Bill Bendix, the saltiest movie Marine of them all. Yes, Mr. Bendix, we grow them tall and husky in Centerville. It's a warm day in New York, and Marine Reserve Alex Raymond has decided that it will be more pleasant to take his work out of doors. Incidentally, this is nice work if you can get it. The creator of such rugged characters as Flash Gordon, Jungle Jim, and Rip Kirby is used to surprises. That's his business. But who can attend to business when a couple of gyrenes come to call? It looks like Rip Kirby will have to wait until another day, because Major Raymond will be busy for a while entertaining a couple of guys from Centerville. In the nation's capital, Ted Williams promises some former associates a hit. On his first trip to the plate, Ted loses the baseball. We're mighty proud of a fellow Marine who can wallop a baseball like Ted Williams does. All holidays, even a Marine's liberty, must end. And the time has come for the men of the organized Marine Corps Reserve to return to their homes. It's a long way from a camp on a coast to the old mill in Centerville, where corn was ground for the first time in the valley. But it is bridged by that rifle that was snatched up when news of Lexington came galloping one night. For today, our Minutemen are the men who proudly say, "We are United States Marines." Theirs the proud privilege of service to their country. Theirs the pledge so brilliantly kept since the birth of our nation. Semper Fidelis, always faithful.